I'm in salad and I saw Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Episode 1. It's called What a Night for a Night. It's produced by Hanna-Barbera. I wanted to go back and look at the original series, watch all the episodes, just so I get caught up with the monsters. It gets some more character development before I get back to the movies. So if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. The episode starts with Scooby and Shaggy. They're walking home. It's quite dark outside, and I immediately appreciate the art style and how it's animated. It honestly looks like each piece, like each character or each bush was like cut out and animated by hand. It all looks animated by hand. You can see how much work was put into this because of all the imperfections throughout the actual episode. There's a lot of, before I get more into the plot, there is a lot of like leftover sketch lines on Scooby. I noticed a lot. Had a lot of leftover sketch lines, but that doesn't really subtract from my enjoyment of the episode. It's just like, oh, this was definitely made as like very quickly because it is a pilot for a new show. This is the first Scooby-Doo show, by the way, so it's fun to go back and check up on the first episode. By the way, I should also mention that there is a laugh track. Scooby and Shaggy are talking. They're having a grand old time communicating with each other. Oh, I'm hungry. Ooh, hunger. Funny jokes. A lot of funny jokes, but they do end up finding a knight armor at night. You get where the title comes from? This knight of armor, this armor was just kind of sitting in somebody's pickup truck, and they're like, oh, clearly that's stolen. Let's deliver it to a museum. And they take it to the museum, and we have the entire Scooby gang looking for clues. I like Velma. Velma is really cute, but also she has big old brain on her head. She's like, clues? Clues exist. What is this? Oh, what is this? Oh, this could only mean this thing. And we get to see the dynamic of the characters kind of show. We have Daphne. She's an airhead. She's clearly an airhead. She reveals a monster while she's just snooping about, like, oh no, the guy's here, Velma, big old brain. Then we have Fred, is the guy in charge. Hunky dory, I'm Fred. I have in charge energy, and I will protect you. Ooh. And there's also, I didn't really see much of a glimpse of the dynamic between Daphne and Fred. Although there does seem there might be something starting there. Just their interactions are pretty friendly. And even though they're all friends, it's still like, oh, this is like the very beginning of all of that. Pretty much outright, Shaggy and Scooby they are themselves. From like here to like the movies that I watched previously on different reviews that I watched that if you haven't seen, you gotta go check it out because they're pretty much their characters. But let's get back to the episode. We have, there's an archaeologist, he's been gone. And oh no, the suit of armor is coming to life. Ooh! And in Scooby-Doo fashion, the suit of armor chases them. And it's a fun, wacky segment. Okay, I do appreciate that the Great Dane, big old dog, is very scared of this creature. But it's like Velma is a tiny child, not child, but she's definitely a young adult. She's tiny girl, and she's like, facts and logic. I want to approach the situation with facts and logic. And because of facts and logic, we uncover who is the knight. It's the guy. It's the archaeologist. That's Scooby-Doo! Woo! Wow! There's also Scooby-Doo, Where Are You is a line that's used. I'm like, oh, hey, that's the title of the episode. This is a fun pilot. It was a very, like, basic, traditional Scooby-Doo episode. Oh, they go find, oh, there's some mysterious thing. They had to go find out about the mysterious thing. Oh, mysterious thing is linked to guys missing. Oh, looks like the guy who's actually missing is the mysterious thing. Wow, there was a connection there. And I'm just thinking, how could you benefit from being a monster as an archaeologist? Money, I guess? I feel like this very early episode is already like, oh, well, these guys did this thing for money. Scooby-Doo, if you think about it, is pretty complicated. Like, why would they do the things? Why would the bad guys pretend to be monsters? Oh, money, probably. So yeah, classic Scooby-Doo formula. I'm excited for the other episodes, see if they're any different. And honestly, I'd give this episode a solid, like, 6.9 out of 10. I'm in salad and I saw Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Episode 2, A Clue for Scooby-Doo. It is produced by Hanna-Barbera, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. The episode starts, we're seeing the Scooby Gang. They're having a fun beach party. We have Scooby is surfing. Man, what a talented dog. I don't even know how to surf. This dog knows how to surf, and he's surfing good. But he surfs on this glowing guy. He's wearing a water suit with like the tank thingy. I don't know what they're called, but it's like it's glowing tank thing with the helmet on it. Something like that. Yeah, just like that. Scooby's like, oh my god, it's a ghost! Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. Ghost? What? Ghost? And then they're like, wow, ghost! And then someone's like, hey, we think that ghost is related to every yacht in this bay. Just boom, vanished, gone. And I'm like, who could want to steal a bunch of yachts? What ghost wants to steal all the yachts in the world? This isn't a ghost that is dead, because why would a dead ghost care about yachts? Because yachts are very valuable and human money. You could sell yachts for many money. And so you got all of the yachts disappearing. Oh no, it's the ghost. Well, the Scooby Gang's like, well, we're gonna investigate. We're first gonna go to this hermit guy. This is like the best thing I could really describe him. He's kind of a shady character. I first thought it was him when, like, the yacht stealer, when the Scooby Gang's like, ooh, yeah, we're looking for a yacht stealer. And he's like, well, go over there. I give you as much information on this ghost. Oh, ghost turns out to be an actual person? Well, I can only give you so much information. You gotta go to his wife. Go to his wife first, you see? And so they go to his wife. You see more Scooby-Doo hijinks. And the wife is like, yeah, my husband and I, we're chilling. We have nothing to do with this. I swear. Nope, not a soul. Nothing. Okay, cool. I guess you guys are cool, I guess. I'm gonna laugh at you guys now. And that is the laugh of a guilty woman. Now I'm just thinking during this episode, oh, what are you trying to hide? Oh, your husband is missing? Where did he go? What happened to him? What happened? Tell me. You're kind of being a little bit shady, a little bit. Well, there's a whole theory. Well, this ghost is underwater. There is some seaweed that Scooby has pulled out. Some fluorescent seaweed that is only known to a specific place. Let's go underwater in that specific place. And might I mention that I really like the choice of the suit color. All of the humans have an orange and secondary red color, which is pretty nice, and then Scooby-Doo has a green and secondary blue color. And you want to know why they chose this? My theory is that they have a lot of blue they're drawing for the underwater, when they go underwater, and the ship still kind of tinted blue, even though it's ship colored, still kind of blue, and it's to distinguish them from very clearly, you know it's them. No doubt about it. And also, you know for a fact who is Scooby-Doo as well. Because Scooby-Doo is not a human, so he gets the green. And there's a whole lot of chasing. Ooh, we gotta swim. Ooh, swimming time. Shaggy and Scooby does their normal, I'm scared, ooh, no, that's sad. And we're gonna get, we gotta go, they swim. They eventually swim to a place full of yachts. They find the yachts, and I'm like, oh boy. We have located where the yachts are, and I love Velma. Velma's like, well, we have a clue here. There's definitely something fishy going on. I'm like, yeah, you see all the yachts here. All the yachts that have been stolen are here. Some dude is here. Oh, looks like the glowing guy is here. Oh, no, there's a ghost. Actually, no, he's not. He's got some glowing footsteps, says Fred. And I'm just thinking, who could it be? I'm still thinking maybe it's the wife's husband. You know what I mean? The girl that we talked to in the lighthouse earlier. I'm thinking it might be her. But also, I think it might be the hermit guy. I'm kind of 50-50 on this. But then, oh, the hijinks. Ooh. We're going to try to capture him. Ooh, but uh-oh. They notice us. Oh. And then there's a whole bunch of hijinks, some more, that ends up getting the ghost stuck. And I'm like, hey, if that's a ghost, he should be going through the thing that he's stuck in. He pulled his head off, and it turns out to be the husband of the lady in the lighthouse, in the house that they visited earlier, and they get arrested. Good. They stole a bunch of yachts. Why would you steal yachts? What do you want to do? Maintain a yacht? How much do you think a yacht takes to maintain? Okay, think about who buys yachts. People with lots and lots of money. Alright, how do we charge lots and lots of money people with more lots and lots of money? Oh, maintenance cost must cost lots and lots and lots and lots of money. Why would you ever want a yacht? I think this dude's stupid for trying to steal a bunch of yachts. But honestly, the glowing thing trick, the glowing goo, the glow-in-the-dark paint, whatever he was wearing, good trick. I liked that one. And then we see the Scooby gang, and they're sipping on something pink. We see Scooby trying to steal some of Shaggy's drink. Bad friend, Scooby? No? Shaggy's like, pew! Just snips it. Doesn't say anything about it. And then I love seeing the animation scene at the end where the cups are going down, and I noticed like one of the cup volumes just like jumped up a little bit and then just like went down. It's also not like fluidly animated. It's like jump, 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 jump. Especially like when one of the people sip, whenever they sip, and oh, it's not like a clear amount of liquid that's being lost. It's just bow. You know what I mean? It's just jumps. You have to look at it. Go look at it for yourself. It's on screen here. So that's how the episode ends. I enjoyed it. I felt like my eyes were glued to the screen the entire time. Like I said a little bit before about the colors, very choice. I really appreciate the colors used to make sure that the characters stand out. Whether that's like a yellow shade for the walls or like something of that variant, just so we get to see the full color range of all the characters. Just so they're very distinct and in your brain. And that has worked since I'm talking about a show that came out in 1966, and Scooby-Doo is very relevant still. So they did a really good job at their character design. Not to mention, just the formula of the shows and the episode. Very easy to replicate and follow and change. Oh, we got Scooby. Oh, Scooby is very scared. And something is noticed. Oh, we have the gang investigates. Well, more interaction, more investigation leads to more interaction, more investigation, and then You finally figure out the mystery at the end. It's like, perfect formula. You can do that with anything. It's honestly pretty great. I quite enjoyed this episode just because the Scooby is underwater and I like seeing him swim. I also noticed the overlay that they used to create the underwater effect. Basically, in animation, the only thing you can really do in order to make it look like you're underwater is to draw like water lines moving like over the picture and then having like some bubbles and like some water lines in the background too, if you're going to put that much detail into it. But I really like the ripples. That's what I'm talking about. The rippling of the water. I really liked that effect. I was like, I wonder who drew that. And what a good loop too. Great loop. I love seeing the animation. I noticed a lot of the animation whenever it was like still or like quickly colored. Sometimes the colors were out of the lines. And like there's like one case right early in the beginning of the episode, closer towards middle area, we see Shaggy and the back of his shirt is pale, but this does not detract from my experience, mind you. I only enjoy it more when I notice mistakes. I'm like, yes, I love it. Again, we get to see some of the sketch lines on Scooby's face, but they're less than last episode, I would say. Because this episode seemed to be less rushed and still very entertaining, and I like seeing the animation tricks that they used, and seeing that they still used what appears to be like paper for a background. And you got a paper midground, and you got a paper foreground, and it's awesome. It's all hand drawn. It's pretty great. I'm a big old fan. I'm loving it. I'm actually curious how they originally animated the show, like what exact materials they used. I haven't really looked into it that much, but that's a little bit of something I'd be interested in learning about. So if you have any information on that, leave a comment. Tell me more about Scooby-Doo, please. Again, I really like this episode, so I gotta give it a solid 7.3 out of 10. I'm in Salad and I saw Scooby-Doo, where are you? Episode 3, Hassle in the Castle. It is produced by Hanna-Barbera. My previous exposure to this episode is none. So if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. The episode starts, we're seeing, the Scooby gang, they're going boating. It's boating time, and they're in the fog, and they get lost, and they end up in a place where they're not supposed to be. Wow, what a mysterious set of events that have occurred. They do end up at this castle that's at this island that they're at. They're like, we're gonna go into the castle. Okay, also Scooby and Shaggy, they're like, scared. Super scared, but then they go through the castle, and this isn't like a Scooby-Doo episode where just like they're all, we're gonna lead through the entire castle and Scooby is the one who's slapsticky all over the place. No, everyone gets this treatment. Everyone gets booby-trapped. Daphne ends up falling through a bunch of traps. Fred ends up going through a bunch of doors that are like invisible doors. There's a sequence like right in the intro song of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Where we see Fred disappear. Yeah, that's from this episode. I was like, oh hey, I've seen that before. Oh hey, that's pretty cool. But there is a mysterious man. He's a ghost. He's spooky. When I saw this episode, I was like, you know what? I'm quite enjoying the fact that the ghost is on the top layer above the Scooby-Doo. The Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Gang, they're like above the layer, so it's animated and it's like clipping over the Scooby Gang, which is supposed to be closer to you in foreground. Nah, doesn't matter. I just was like, wow, I'm so glad that I was able to look at that. Also, I noticed that a lot of the blue, the method that they use to save on coloring, I quite appreciated. Like, holy diggity dang. There's a lot of blue silhouettes in the cars from when they're at like a distance, except for maybe Scooby-Doo is colored. But I like their silhouettes. Also, they have pretty much the same animation style, and the animation, you can definitely see some colored outside lines, but it's less noticeable than the last episode, I think. You can still see some of the face lines for Scooby when he's drawn, but I think it's a little bit less noticeable. Yeah, I feel like the art quality is a teensy bit better in this episode, but you know, it's still kind of messy. But honestly, I was very impressed with the animation. I also noticed that Scooby-Doo, whenever he's hopping about and he like goes off frame, that's a way to save on animation budget. You just have him hop off frame, then a second hold of off, just nothing in that frame. It's just one background element being animated and shook around. I also noticed the shaking around as like a feature to not animate something being shaken around. If you just shake the camera around, that's fine. I was like, hey, that's actually really cool. That's a really good way to save on animating something shaking if you just shake the camera around. You know what? That was pretty epic. But you know what? Let's go back to the mystery. You know, there's a ghost. But of course, Velma and Fred are like, I don't think it's usually not a ghost. Let's see who it is. And it turns out it's a guy. Yeah, a guy really wants this place to by himself. And honestly, I guess he can keep it. I personally wouldn't want to be on this island. But he's always, I feel like a lot of the villains, especially this one, is like, oh, I'm gonna scare people away as like some sort of tactic. Like, that's not going to get you noticed by the cops, and then you're going to get arrested for it. Like, why must he use fear as a tactic? Why? I don't get it. But you know what? It doesn't matter. The guy has been caught, and a cool little castle that he's got with a bunch of little booby traps. Man, that is one cool castle. I'd like to live in that castle. Honestly, because then it's like, oh, don't step on this tile. You'll fall through the floor. Isn't that epic? Beautiful. But honestly, that's the end of the episode. I feel like the level of animation is pretty much the same as the previous two animation levels. Except for the silhouette thing I just noticed. I'm like, oh, maybe the colors didn't have enough time. And so we get to see some blue silhouettes. And I was like, I like that. I honestly am a big fan of animation, saving time, budget, reason stuff. I just like noticing all of it. Of course, the animation is just as good, just as messy as the other episodes, but I hope that they do clean it up a little bit more, spend a little bit more time on it. But honestly, for me, it does not subtract from the quality of the episode. I was still quite entertained. When I was watching this, I was like, oh, they're going through the castle. Oh, they're going through a bunch of trapdoors. Daphne is an airhead. There's some... I see there's like a seed of some conflict between Daphne and Velma, but just a little bit. We have Velma calling Daphne an airhead. I'm like, why must you be so rude, Velma? And because of Velma's rudeness, but the overall quality, I still quite enjoyed it. I gotta give this episode a solid 6.6 out of 10. I'm in salad and I saw Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Episode 4. Mind your own business. It is produced by Hanna-Barbera. Previous exposure to this episode? None. So if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. The episode starts, we get to see Shaggy doesn't know how to read a map. Like, the text is upside down, Shaggy. I mean, I totally get using turning the map depending on which way you're going on that map. So if you're like east headed west, it makes sense to have turn in the way where you're headed west. But Shaggy was not reading it correctly at all. And Velma is like, come on, Shaggy, why did you do that? And I'm like, yeah, Velma, that's probably the correct answer. Why would Shaggy not know how to correctly read a map? Because Shaggy cannot read a map. They're now in Gold City. which is an old mining area. There's a bunch. It seems to be like an abandoned town because there's a ghost there that's haunting the town. Ghost town. I really like the parts where we see Shaggy and Scooby just being in the minecart, just rolling down the tracks, and I'm like, man, I really like that. I'm a big old fan. We also have Fred. He's like, who's the mystery? Is it a ghost? I don't think so. Then we have Daphne being Daphne, but being by Fred's side. Velma takes some opportunity to split up with Scooby-Doo, and they Scooby all over the place. It's quite fun, but I really especially like the part where we just see the ghost is going down the minecart. Scooby-Doo, Shaggy, minecarted. They keep going on doing it. And while I'm watching this episode, I'm like, who is it? Who is doing it? I don't know who's the ghost of the minecart. I definitely think there's a lot more conflict within the group at this point. Just a little bit. I feel like each episode there's a little bit more conflict established, and it's like, ooh, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna go all out break and have a big old fight about it? Or are they gonna solve the mystery? And I feel like Velma in this episode is over Shaggy already. She's like, Shaggy, ugh, so Shaggy again. Who needs Shaggy? I don't need Shaggy. I want Shaggy here. He just wants to eat all the sandwiches. They do eat food. Good. Of course, they're in a competition of who can eat the food. And of course, Scooby's trying to steal Shaggy's food. It's competition. And I'm like, Scooby, why must you always take Shaggy's food? Just come on. This question keeps coming up. Why do you keep taking his food? Like, are you not fed enough? Is Shaggy not fed enough? Y'all are adults. I don't actually. I think they're teenagers. But you guys are effectively adults because you're a bunch of teenagers in one circle. Therefore, you can make your own independent decisions because you don't have a guardian. Therefore, you're adults. Take care of yourself, Shaggy and Scooby. Please eat food whenever you can, except for whenever, I want to put all the gross stuff on this delicious bun. Bread. Put, bam, chocolate, bam. Eyeballs, bam! Kidney liver, bam! Intestines, bam! Scooby's tail, bam! Mayonnaise, bam! Bread. That's the sandwich that Shaggy's making in this episode. Oh yeah, totally. He just needs to eat more food. Please eat more food. But enough about food. There's a guy who's creepy, but they do eventually get the minecart guy stuck, and he's revealed to be another dude. No, not him. Honestly, I forgot which position of power he is in, but he's very selfishly like, there's gold down here still. I'm gonna haunt the ghost, the mine shaft as a ghost in order to make sure that no one tries to find my gold ever again. And I'm like, ooh, spooky. And honestly, big fan. Good job. But you got no more of this shenanigans now. You got the Scooby Gang, the mystery gang has solved this mystery yet again of why do people keep trying to haunt places when there's money there. Oh wait, is to keep all of it? Okay, that doesn't exist. No, you can't do that. Not anymore. Maybe if there was a time there you could, but not in this time. You cannot keep all your money. So that's how the episode ends. I remember this episode just being like, okay, I like the mining cart part. I like just seeing the group kind of interact with each other a little bit more. But for the most part, the ghost of the mine shaft is not very memorable. I don't really remember him that much, but I do remember liking the colors of the mine shaft, plus the area around the mine shaft. I remember the colors being around like an orange, reddish, in some parts of the mine shaft, and like the sky at the very beginning being like a blue. I'm like, oh yeah, contrast. Oh yeah. And They figure out who it is. They figure out who did the thing and try to scare everyone. But scaring people is a crime, don't you know? That's why you gotta have the cops take them away. Lock them up. Do it. Other than that, the animation still as not clean as the first 3 episodes. However, I feel like at some point there has to be higher animation standards because this is like shown to be a hit show. I understand this is episode 4. You know, there's gonna be sloppy animation. But I say sloppy in a loving, endearing way. I really like how you can really just see all of the sketch lines. That's what they're called. The sketch lines around Scooby's mouth, plus some of the coloring outside of the lines. I feel like they've cleaned it up just a little bit since last episode, but I'm still loving this animation style. The classic hand-drawn animation style, plus the soundtrack. I don't give the soundtrack enough credit. There's just so much sound going on all the time, all at once. I'm a big old fan, and this episode definitely gets a solid 5.9 out of 10. I'm Mint Salad and I saw Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Episode 5, Decoy for a Dog Napper. It's produced by Hanna-Barbera. Oh boy, you guys, this episode is a doozy, and I really want to get into why. So if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. The episode starts, we're seeing Scooby-Doo and gang, hanging out. But oh no, there's some dog napping. Some show dogs are being kidnapped, and in order to get the show dogs, there's a convoluted plan. We gotta have Scooby-Doo also be a show dog, get kidnapped, and then the kidnappers are like, this is only a mutt. Ugh. Also, the reason why I talk about this episode being so weird, though, is that there's some Indian ghosts. I say Indian, Native American, I think is probably more proper. But there's just the ghosts of them just like yodeling, or something like that, and it's not tasteful. I wouldn't say it's very tasteful. I would say this episode kind of left a bad taste in my mouth just from the conception of the Native American ghosts just yodeling and then being a bad guy. What a weird episode. I mean, this episode still follows Scooby-Doo convention. We're dealing with the fact that now we have some dude who is dressing up as a Native American dude. Some like stereotype headdress, pants, clothing items. Yeah, the stereotypes like that. But like when he's eventually unmasked, he's in a person. He's just like, I did it to have this whole plan to steal dogs, to have a show so I can have lots of money. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the idea of having dogs be kidnapped for gain, because I don't know what you would gain out of that, honestly. If you're just gonna steal a bunch of show dogs, I don't know if he was planning on enrolling them in the shows or not. I'm not entirely sure. I wish he was, just because holy diggity dang. Can you believe it? This is just wild. The premise is wild. The plot itself is wild. But on top of what I've said, there isn't really much else to say there, other than, Scooby-Doo is very clumsy, as usual, so is Shaggy, and also Velma, Daphne, and Fred don't really change that much as characters from the last episode. We're just now dealing with the fact that Scooby is being kidnapped, and the gang have to deal with the fact. He's being kidnapped as bait, rather. He's very baity, you know what I mean? And it's fun. I'm a big fan of trying to figure out mysteries no matter what costs, yeah, let's just have my dog be kidnapped in order to figure out who is kidnapping other dogs. So I liked that. The animation, definitely an improvement from the past few episodes. Not much better, honestly. When I say better, I mean to say the line art still looks a pretty mushy. Like, not clean. It's not like a clean line, but it's also the method in which they animated, which I completely understand. But also the colors, again, a lot of the in-between cells, it's just the color is like outside of the lines, or maybe not fully colored all the way. There's some animation tricks that they're still using. Like, for example, we have, Scooby's going to be very slapsticky. He's going to stick himself everywhere, and he's going to go off of the frame, and then the camera is going to shake, and all you got to do is animate the camera shake. You don't have to animate the camera shake or have to draw another panel like by hand, which is honestly, it's fine. I like it. I'm actually really curious as to how they do the transparent kind of effect. I'm not completely familiar with traditional animation, so I wouldn't know how they would do that practically. But the fact that they did, I quite enjoyed. Even though they have the distasteful Native American ghost who shrieks a lot as some sort of stereotype. The fact that it's the way that it is like almost semi like transparent is pretty good. I'm a big fan. I'd definitely like to see more Scooby-Doos where that is the case. Also, we get to see the Scooby Gang is in high contrast to their environment, which is to say that they're visually distinct and I will remember them. And so will the rest of America, it seems like, because Scooby-Doo still exists. And this show existed in the 60s. I mean, I really don't think any show from, say, like Cartoon Network or any other like animation studio would have a Scooby-Doo level quality being released now, unless it was like very intentional. I just see the Scooby-Doo animation was not prioritized compared to the massive amount of music and sound effects that they have playing the entire time. I'm just listening to see if there's any silences in any of the Scooby-Doos, and there are not. There's a lot of stuff like as sound effects, stuff like that. It's quite entertaining. It keeps me engaged the entire time. It's like, ooh, what's gonna happen? Ooh, they're sneaking around. Oh no, they're being chased by some dudes. Oh no. Ooh, yeah, that's all fun, handy-dandy stuff. That's really all I have to say on animation that I haven't really said before on the other Scooby-Doos, honestly. I mean, I like it. I really hope to see sometime in the future that the Scooby-Doo, the art coloring isn't neglected. Well, it's not like neglected, but it's clearly like there's some mistakes being shown. Wish it was cleaner. But honestly, just because I wish the art is cleaner doesn't mean that I don't like it. I actually like it a lot because it's like, oh, look at them. Look at these art things. The color is not inside the lines. Oh, that's actually fun. That's actually really great that I know that standards are set by those who start them, like Scooby-Doo. There's other shows that existed. I don't know much about Scooby-Doo, but it is a cultural phenomenon, and it has to be for a reason. So honestly, this Scooby-Doo show made me reflect, and this episode especially made me reflect on what certain parts of culture I like and don't like, and I really have to mention the Native American ghost yodeling guy who's on his horse and is just attacking the Scooby Gang. That part's not really my favorite, but otherwise I like the dog napping part. trying to take them dogs. And honestly, I would like to pet those dogs. I think those dogs need a lot of petting everywhere. So because of the pettiness factor of the dogs that are being napped, I'm going to rate this episode a solid 6 out of 10. I'm in salad and I saw Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Episode 6. What the heck's going on? It's what the heck is going on was my first thought for what this title should be, but where's the is? I don't know, who cares? This is produced by Hanna-Barbera. My previous exposure to this episode, none, not even introduced to the monster, so if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts, we're seeing the Scooby Gang. They're going to a friend, Sharon. Lovely Sharon is like, hello, I'm a friend, and I have an uncle, and he's missing. He's been missing due to a bunch of ghosts. I didn't catch whether he was haunted by ghosts or he's a ghost that is haunting a mansion nearby, but turns out the Scooby Gang is like, well, we gotta solve this mystery of what's going on with Sharon and the uncle that is missing. My first thought, since, the uncle is gone and missing, I was thinking, maybe he's probably pretending to be dead, because a similar scheme happened like this a few episodes ahead, before this. And I like this mainly because it's like, well, now we get to see the wacky adventure of what's happening with Scooby-Doo as they try to figure out what's happening with this. I'm thinking maybe Sharon and possibly the uncle have something to do with this. It's just a possibility, that's what I think. But, Scooby Gang's like, yeah, totally, we'll help you out. I feel like the Scooby Gang, the personalities, which each episode gets a little bit more and more fleshed out. Just a little bit. Ever so slightly, they're still pretty much the same characters from the first episode, but it's like at the same time, it is fine that they have some sort of character development. I got a TikTok notification. More like tick stop. Imagine TikTok. I have a TikTok, by the way. It's updated with all my shirts if you want to go check those out. But anyway, continuing on with the review. Eventually, the Scooby Gang, after being in a mansion, this episode is really strange, because it's like, I feel like the mansion is just itself alive. I was like, whoa, what is the fate of the Scooby Gang? It's usually Shaggy and Scooby who are in danger, and the rest are just like trying to solve a mystery. But no, everyone is being into trapdoors. There was even a sequence from the beginning of the episode, the opening card sequence. Yeah, one of those scenes is from this episode, and Fred is just hanging out, and so is everyone else. But luckily, mystery gets solved, and oh, hey, guess who it is? Predictable. Very, very predictable. Oh, it's the Uncle Man? Who knew? Who knew that a guy who disappeared, to just haunt a mansion, is that guy? I mean, it just makes me wonder, why did he leave? Maybe he was just saying he was caught by a ghost, but really, it was his very annoying Sharon. Maybe he hated Sharon so much that he got haunted. But that'd be super hilarious. But it's the Scooby Gang. And then at the end, they have a Scooby old time. That's how it ends. At this point, the animation seems to be improving a little bit more. And by improving, I mean some of the lines are colored inside of the lines, which is good. I'm glad that they're doing that. The animation, the inking looks to be done with like some sort of pen or not very thin-tipped marker, because it looks a little smudgy, as with like the other Scooby-Doo episodes, but it looks a little bit better. I just am rooting for the Scooby-Doo animation quality to go up. I really want it to be going up. Also, this video, Also, this episode just felt I really like the colors. The colors are a lot like the other Scooby-Doo episodes, where there's high contrast between the background and the characters, so you can tell who the characters are for each episode. And honestly, it felt very similar in the tone of the other Scooby-Doo episodes before this. You know, big fan. Same formula, different monsters. The monster dude who comes is cool. He's a cool looking dude. I like his design. Designs are amazing in Scooby-Doo, and I like just seeing how they all animated the people. It's always animated 2D at this early in the animation process. 60s, this is the 60s era. There's no 3D CGI in this whatsoever. It's pretty epic, honestly. I'm just a big fan of it. I would like to see more animations, more modern, kind of copy the style of Scooby-Doo, honestly, where it's just like a bunch of slapstick comedy. Oh, he's running off screen, and then the camera shakes. So, you know, it's easier to animate shaking camera than it is to draw a dog multiple frames in succession. You know, those smart budget tricks I'm a big old fan of, and I honestly wish that more animation did that. But now we have 3D models, which is a-okay. I'm okay with that. I'm just saying I want more 2D hand-drawn things to exist. Like this Scooby-Doo. Character development, I already mentioned, very little, but there is some. Honestly, any progression between now and the first episode is tiny, minuscule. This is just a series to introduce the characters to the characters and the monsters specifically to the Scooby-Doo verse, and makes it so all the monsters are canon. We get to see them later on, which is honestly pretty epic. So I like this episode, although to be honest, beside the Scooby gang meeting up with Sharon and then having a whole, oh, there's a ghost, ooh, and we're in a mansion, ooh, the rest of it was pretty forgettable. So I gotta give this episode a solid 5.6 out of 10. I'm in salad and I saw Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Episode 7. Never Ape an Ape Man. It's produced by Hanna-Barbera, and this has a lot of Ape Man. So if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts, the Scooby Gang is invited to go on a set of Ape Man. It's Daphne's uncle's like, hey, hello, guys. You guys want to be background people? You guys want to star in a movie? Your very own movie about an ape man. Of course, you gotta have a movie with an ape man wearing an ape man costume. But actually, while they're on the set, there's a gorilla. Oh! When I saw the gorilla, I was like, whoa, I can't believe it. I never saw this twist. I totally did see this twist. But honestly, I really like the shenanigans that Shaggy and Scooby are like, oh, we're gonna chase the dude. I mean, oh, I'm gonna make sure to run away from him. Oh, he's so scary. Ooh. I also like the movie set is really weird. It's very platformy. It's probably the best way I could describe it. Very platformy. It is just like platforms everywhere. It's platforming time. Mario would be very proud because he's a platformer. He's in the platforming game. Get it? There's a lot of platforms. But anyway, there's Scooby, Shaggy, slapstick, as usual. Yeah, that makes sense. But also Velma, Daphne, Fred. They're like, big old brain. Who could the Gorilla Man be? Of course, it's just another man in a costume. Ghosts don't exist, but actually it's a gorilla. Where did the gorilla come from, though? Oh, it escaped? Oh, that's not good. How could your security system be so lax that a gorilla escapes? This ain't no octopus, okay? Octopuses can just leave everything, including like jars. They can open them from the inside. Octopus, if he's telling me that an octopus left, you know what, that's fine. Octopus is a big old brain. Humans are constantly battling an octopus. However, a gorilla, I know gorillas are big old gorillas, and it's such a shame to see, oh, guns? No, we're not gonna use guns. Instead, we're gonna have a gorilla just be loose. I mean, we gotta take the gorilla down somehow, and it turns out that, uh-oh, it's a gorilla, we gotta go put him back. At least this gorilla did not go just chill in his habitat when, bam, a child just appears in front of him falling from the sky, and he's like, take child, rip it apart, and then he got shot. No, that did not happen. Rip Harambe. I'm still thinking about Harambe. Are you still thinking about Harambe? I sure am. I really like the animation. Is still not clean when it comes to the in-between coloring. It's still the same. Will Scooby-Doo ever up their animation? Not quality, but more like animation, less sloppiness. I think that might be quality, but I'm still a fan. There's some improvement. There's always improvement with each episode. It's just like, oh, well, I don't see Scooby's draw lines nearly as much as I did in the first few episodes. Face draw lines, rather. Instead, all I have to deal with is, oh, the colorists, they kind of suck. But it's okay. They're just doing their best. Scooby is fun. I like Scooby. Shaggy, also great character. I think I'm at the point now where I can decisively rank each Mystery Gang member. All right, first of all, I gotta say that Fred, let's put him at B tier. He's underappreciated, but he's also appreciated. I guess he's just appreciated. He's not like quite remarkable. He's a dude, but he's head honcho. He's kind of he's in charge of everything, which is why I put him in B. All right, Daphne, C. Daphne, more of an airhead, just kind of Fred's side piece. She has some brain to her, but not nearly as much brain as Velma, which gets an A. Velma, mwah. Velma is awesome. She's big old brain, her outfit is awesome, and she's got them big old milkers. And I want to take Velma's milkers, I want to squeeze them, take the milk, yeah, squeeze them right into my mouth. Those Velma milky titties. But what do you think? Do you want Velma to squeeze milk into your mouth? Her titty milk specifically? But then Scooby is S tier. Scooby, adorable dog, beautiful, lovely dog, amazing dog, perfectly innocent. However, he keeps stealing Shaggy's food. You might have noticed that I have filled up everything except for D and F. Where does Shaggy go? Well, Shaggy goes in double S. Got him. 9,000 S. Shaggy has the ultimate power levels. Ultimate dude, big old brain. He's like ultimate strongman. He's gonna explode your head. He's gonna find the mysteries by being so scared that he avoids mysteries. Big bam! That's what Shaggy's presence does to you. It makes your brain explode. But anyway, that's my current S tier list. I'll do another one in a few Scooby-Doo episodes if it changes at all. And because this episode is somewhat memorable, there's a lot of fun ape chasing action. But the director, man, forgettable. I gotta give this episode a solid 6.0 out of 10. I'm in Salad and I saw Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Episode 8, Foul Play in Funland. It is produced by Hanna-Barbera. There's a robot in this one. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. So the episode starts with the Scooby Gang. They're just kind of chilling on a beach. They're beach in time. They're right next to a carnival, but the carnival has mysteriously turned on by itself. So they're like, maybe we should go investigate. And so they do. I like how the turning on the lights is animated because, you know, it's just like one dot at a time. It's like do 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 do, and then, you know, the dots are there now. It's pretty great. But you know what, Scooby-Doo, they're coming in. Scooby and Shaggy, you know, always wanting food. There was always some sort of gag that Scooby and Shaggy are always fighting for food. One of them always ends up eating all of the food, and I'm specifically talking about Scooby-Doo. Why does he always eat the food? Come on, Scooby-Doo. Where are your food? Where are your manners? Where are you, manners? Scooby-Doo, come on. But anyway, there's this cool robot thing just kind of perusing this area. Not a carnival, maybe more of like an amusement park. There's rides, there's a boardwalk, there's a whole rigmarole of stuff that's there, but we're gonna be walking like a robot. We're gonna be walking. It's gonna be terrifying. Ooh, no, not the robot. The robot does some scary stuff. The robot chases the Scooby Gang, but more specifically, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy on a bunch of rides all throughout the carnival. We learn that the robot is a robot and is being controlled by some person. And we figure out who it is. We figure out who the robot guy is. And it's unclear because although I like a lot of the shots of the robot just like walking around, that's really all I remember from the episode very clearly. Just the massive amount of walking around in the carnival. Also, the Scooby Gang is like, wow, we're in a beach right now. Oh, there just happens to be a carnival there, and it happens to be turning on by itself. Cool mystery. I'm glad that we have a mystery just kind of handed to us. Let's go investigate this mystery. And I'm glad that they do. The animation, on par with the other ones. Man, when will Scooby-Doo get better animation? I mean, Scooby-Doo does have a bunch of animation principles, such as anticipation. Albeit it's a few frames, you can still see the anticipation in everyone's moves. And the amount of, like, camera shake when someone gets flattened, but the Scooby-Doo is extended. That's technically what it's called, stretching. Squash and stretch. And it's great to, like, make someone bouncy and then, like, really, like, mold them like clay. That's what I like about animation, by the way. I'm really glad that Scooby-Doo does a lot of bouncy animation. Bam, bam, bam. That's what Scooby-Doo does. He goes bam, bam, bam. And it's pretty epic. I want more Scooby-Doo doing a bunch of hijinks, if that's the proper term. Hijinks. Slapstilly. Silly slap. Slapstick. That's what it's called. Slapstick. I want Scooby-Doo to do a lot more slapstick. I'd be much bigger, much huger fan if it was just like all dedicated to slapstick, which it is. But like, I'm talking the entire Mystery Gang is just falling off of bridges left and right, climbing on roofs, falling off the skyscraper, landing through the floor, but then still being good. That's what I want to see. But you know, Velma and Daphne are pretty chill. I like them a lot in this episode, mainly because it's like, oh, cool, you guys are pretty much the same, acting like the same, but you guys have a little bit more of a relationship. I don't know if there's like some sort of continued plot thread, but there does seem to be some continuity with just the characters themselves. Either there's an implied massive amount of history that the mystery gang has shared, or like they're really just learning more and more about each other as the episodes go. But what do you guys think? I want to know your guys' opinion on this, because this is just a theory. It's a Scooby-Doobin theory. Scooby-Doobin time. And honestly, Scooby-Doo, pretty good in this episode. The robot guy, I've never seen a robot guy in a Scooby-Doo before. I thought that was a very nice touch. Very nice touch. Of course, some animation stills, especially the in-betweens, the colors are either colored wrong in some parts or colored outside the lines. I keep mentioning that because this is a huge thing in the Scooby-Doo Where Are You animation early episodes, and I really hope that they improve the animation just a little bit. But only like in cleaning up. Oh, you gotta take a few more minutes to clean up. But I don't know what their schedule was like. Maybe they're under like a really huge time crunch, which makes sense, honestly. But otherwise, this is a pretty enjoyable Scooby-Doobin episode. So I gotta give it a solid 5.9 out of 10. I'm Mint Salad and I saw Scooby-Doo. Where Are You? Episode 9. The Backstage Rage. It's produced by Hanna-Barbera. My previous exposure to this episode is no concept monster whatsoever, so if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. The episode starts, we're following Scooby and Shaggy and they're hungry. Who knew they're hungry? Oh, we're going to get some food. We're going to eat some food, and Scooby and Shaggy will be able to eat the food. Both of them at the same time. Finally. Oh my goodness, they finally get to eat together instead of one of them stealing food from the other, mainly Shaggy stealing food from Scooby.
Shaggy stealing food from Scooby.
It never happened. It's fiction. It's an urban legend that never happened. Not a chance.
I'm glad that's not happening, except for there's a lot of attempts. That's not fun. People attempting to steal my food is not a joyous time, especially for me, because I love food. I love food so much. I'm so fat. I'm like I'm 1,000,000 pounds. I'm telling you. Scooby-Doo, I don't know how he's not 1,000,000 pounds. And Shaggy as well, because they eat all the food in the world. Maybe that's all they eat. That really must be all they like consistently consume for the amount of calories that is needed to function their bodies, and then also not go over the caloric limit of Scooby eating that much food. I didn't think I would have to think this hard about how much the Scooby and Shaggy are eating. Instead, let me just focused away from that, and they encounter some sort of violin case filled with a bunch of money. It's like, whoa, what is this money? Oh, we're rich. No, we're not. This is counterfeit. You gotta find out why is there counterfeit money here? Who let this money go? What's the intention of this counterfeit money? Obviously to spend it, but what were they spending it on? What, did they have plans to give it to somebody? Maybe sprinkle it out? Just make it into the economy? Because I feel like those counterfeits would eventually get caught, right? I don't know. I'm not a criminal, I wouldn't know. But wow, that money is gone now. What happened to it, you might ask? Well, Scooby got distracted by a really cute poodle and is convincingly like, oh my god, it's so awesome, I love her so much, that's Scooby right there, that's his face right here on my face. Of course, the money gets taken. Now I gotta go investigate a bunch of puppets, because the dog was a puppet. The whole rigmarole of figuring out there's this whole scheme. It's like, oh, we're slowly uncovering, but there's this whole Puppets are being used to make counterfeit money, which is an interesting concept. Are the puppets the villains? Well, I guess they're puppets, so no. Who is controlling the puppets? That is my question. I was like, whoa, who is it? Who is it? The mysteries are always dudes that I don't expect. Like, seriously, it's like, oh, that makes sense why they uncovered this guy. Because he's connected to this person that the Scooby Gang had talked to before. This is just a generic answer. This isn't anything specific. But like, this one, I was like, what? I wasn't really expecting it at all. The mystery uncovered was the friends that we made along the way and the massive amounts of puppets. Oh my goodness, there's so many puppets. That would scare me a lot. If I was near that many puppets, I'd be like, no, I cannot have this many puppets in my presence. And that's how the episode ends. Many puppets later, many Scooby-Doo ending in a happy ending. Yeah, we did it. We managed to solve the mystery. Woo, yeah, we did it. Beautiful stuff like that. Animation, a little bit better than the previous episodes. There's always some animation being done better than the previous one, which is good. I like how you can kind of like build on it. And there's more details in the backgrounds, but not by much. It's not like the first episode where I can recall a scene of the Scooby Gang just in a brown background. They're just in a brown environment. There's no definition of anything happening, but now there actually is. And the animation is getting a little bit smoother, just a little bit. It's mostly the lines, the color outside of the lines still is a thing that exists, and some sketch lines, but it's all right. I like it. It has some very antique, it's probably the correct word, very antique vibes. Probably the best I could really describe. It's like, oh yeah, this is very fun to watch. I'm very happy to be watching the Scooby Gang. Again, more character development, little, but it's an acceptable amount. By that I mean, this isn't really focused on the Scooby Gang so much as it is just on Shaggy and Scooby mostly. It's mostly focused on that. Plus Scooby-Doo, yet again, is doing more slapsticky stuff. So I enjoyed the colors. The colors were bright. I was able to tell who's the character. My final thoughts on this episode is that I found it to be fun. Mainly the poodle part, and Scooby-Doo is like, ooga, I want to touch them poodly puffs of fur on them toes. That's what Scooby says. That's Scooby-Doo's thoughts. And I enjoyed it just because it's like, okay, this is a fun scene. I wasn't really expecting it. The other parts of the episode, not super memorable. So I gotta give this episode a solid 5.3 out of 10. I'm inside and I saw Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Episode 10, Bedlam in the Big Top. It is produced by Hanna-Barbera. And if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This review is sponsored by the Linktree. You can check that out after the review. The episode starts, we're seeing two guys, a strong boy and a short boy. They're riding a bike, it breaks in half. I find this to be very interesting, the name of the short boy. It's very dated. He calls himself a midget. Like, he calls himself that, okay? I'm only saying it because he calls himself that. I wouldn't use this term normally, okay? I just want to point this out. We also have Strongman as well. So these two are riding a tandem bicycle, which I find to be pretty cool. But they get spooked by the mystery gang. Uh-oh, also they're spooked by a ghost that was haunting their circus. That's no good. The mystery gang has to look into this. I really like how they look into this. So they go to the circus. Scooby walks off and is like, okay, I'm gonna go investigate. I'm gonna go look for some food. That's definitely probably what he's doing, actually. So he's looking, And there's this clown. There's this red and black clown. He's pretty cool. I like how he's using this gold coin and he's hypnotizing Scooby. He's pretty cool guy. You know, he's a cool guy in terms of like being able to hypnotize people and use them to do whatever. Like you have Scooby balancing the beam, the tightrope. I mean, not the beam, the tightrope. I wouldn't be able to do that. Also, Scooby gets untranced, then he falls, and then you have Scooby and Daphne. They're doing a big ol' jump. Also, what's interesting, there are several times where this clown is messing with the rest of the Scooby gang. Like, for example, I really like how Daphne gets hypnotized. She gets hypnotized to do like unicycling in like this cute little ballerina dress or something. It's so cute. She's wearing like the cutest thing ever. I absolutely love it. But then there's also Shaggy. He also gets hypnotized, and he's hypnotized to be a lion tamer. I find this to be hilarious. He's just like poking his chair at them and be like, "Pew, pew, be good, cats. It's okay, be good." And it's like, oh boy, dude. What is going on here? What is this clown? He's a hypnotist? No one was telling me we're dealing with hypnotist clowns. Also, Fred gets pushed into a closet. Or a closet. What's the standing closet called? It's not a closet, it's a dresser, but not actually. Man, I don't know what they're called. You just open them up, and then bam, got a bunch of clothes. No drawers, organization, or anything, just plain old hangers. Good old-fashioned style. So, Fred, it's like, oh boy, what's happening? Also, Velma, she comes in clutch in this episode. She's like, what is all this strange occurrences happening? Turns out, the clown was an inflatable guy. He's an inflatable dude. He's inflatable. It's just like, oh, so that's why there's like no dude behind it. It's just this inflatable clown. It's like, oh boy, I hope whoever is responsible gets arrested. Well, he gets arrested. That's pretty great. I'm glad that Velma comes in clutch to save the day, to save Scooby and Shaggy's butt. Daphne's cool. Daphne doesn't really seem to be the type to intuitively try to look for. You got anything else to talk about? This 20-minute episode is pretty fun. Definitely a lot of Scooby and gang jumping, trying to run away from the guy. But in the end, they catch him. That's pretty nice. I like the little journey of it all. I also like how Scooby, being Scooby, gets hypnotized first. And interesting enough, Shaggy gets hypnotized last. I don't know. I found this to be kind of cool, actually. I gotta give this episode like a 6.7 out of 10. I'm in salad and I saw Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Episode 11. A Gaggle of Galloping Ghosts. It is produced by Hanna-Barbera. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. The review is sponsored by my Linktree. You can check that out after the review. Episode starts with the Scooby gang is like, oh, we're gonna go have some fun at some mystery. And it's like, why would you have some fun at a mystery place? Also, we're gonna get your fortune told. Don't you know that's a pseudoscience? But anyway, they get their fortune told. They're going to the place where there's a werewolf. And would I see the werewolf? You know what? I'm not sure. I feel like I would not see the werewolf at this point. The werewolf is kind of just high up on a ledge. A lot of the you know, being on the floor of a ledge, on the ground floor of a ledge. If there is no instinct to look up, you know, naturally, unless you remind yourself constantly to look up. But you know what's interesting? The Scooby gang does not look up, in fact. You know, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy have great tuition, okay? They have like the best tuition. They're always scared. I understand that they're scared. They're scared for a reason. There's risk involved. And I understand their hesitancy to go to this castle, interesting castle. Man, would you go to a strange castle that you just wound up at? Oh, fun adventure. What about danger? What do you think? Would you risk your life for this castle adventure, I guess? I feel like I would stay in the car unless there was mass majority, and then I would go with the group. Man, for a castle called Franken Castle, you would think, maybe this castle might be related to Frankenstein or Frankenstein's monster. But no, they're like, let's go investigate. Let's do that, okay? And it's like, okay, let's have, ooh, scary vampire. Ooh, it's pretty wild. I like it. You know, it's fun to watch Dracula flying in the air, chasing down Scooby and Shaggy. It's always Scooby and Shaggy. Man, I really like Scooby and Shaggy. I know they eventually end up hungry. I know they eventually end up very scared, but it is Velma who does the knowing of stuff, figuring things out. Oh, this is insane. There's a castle with monsters trying to scare you away, and it's like, why? Why are there a bunch of monsters and stuff trying to scare me away from this cool castle? Oh, it's a fun adventure. Yeah, sure, whatever. You got like flying things attacking you and other things attacking you, okay? You can't split away from the team. That's not fun at all. Of course, guess who's behind all of evil in Scooby-Doo? You guessed it. The woman. Gypsy, of course. That's what they're called. You know, I'm not really knowledgeable about any history. I gotta emphasize that I really spent a lot of my time just drawing, okay? So, history is not my strong suit, but if you know history, let me know. And like, comment and stuff. What a mistake to leave a cloth of your stuff at a place for Velma, Daphne, Fred, Scooby, Doo, Shaggy. Yeah, you can't leave stuff alone with them. They're gonna figure you out, man. Anyway, the woman gets figured out. That's fine. Okay, that's okay. I like Scooby-Doo. I praise for the ability to know what's happening, both by dialogue and by visuals, alone and together, really help the cohesion of the episode. You know, that's my general. I'm not a big fan of castles personally. I don't really care. I know there's a bunch of traps and stuff. Fred's into traps. I don't know much about traps, you know. I'm not a carpenter. Other than the display of showing more and more of personalities of each character, I feel like each episode is building on the familiar aspect of each character. I mean, I know that's like, because I've seen more of them, I like them more. It's more of like I'm establishing familiarity. Dave, what's the word? What word am I saying? Other than the blue-green castle with some gray, the Scooby-Doo gang being the vibrant colors, a lot of vibrant colors and stuff like that. You know, very, very fun. I'm a big fan of vibrant colors, but I'm not a big fan of dull colors on vibrant colors. That's not my aesthetic. I like pleasing colors all around. Was this notable to me? Not in a particular way. It's more Scooby-Doo. Felt like a filler episode. I gotta give this episode, I just gotta give it a 5.9. Scooby-Doo, 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 Scooby-Doo. I'm Mint Salad and I saw Scooby-Doo, episode 12, Scooby-Doo. And a Mummy too. It is produced by Hanna-Barbera, and if you haven't seen this, spoilers ahead for you. The episode starts with Scooby and friends. They're going to a museum to meet a professor, and the professor is like, hello, I'm your friend. And oh no, there's something wrong's happening here, okay? Scooby and friends meet a professor because, hey, we're gonna look at this mummy, 3,000 years old. Ooh, spooky. And, well, I can't believe it. Turns out the mummy's alive. The Scooby-Doo takes a hammer and nails, pins down part of the toilet paper, whatever paper that the mummy is wrapped in. Scooby-Doo nails it to the floor, and looks like the mummy has lost a piece of himself. And Velma finds the mummy. Velma finds this lovely piece of mummy, and it's like, it's fun. I like Velma discovering her mummy. What is all this happening? What's happening? What's going on here? I don't understand. We have Scooby and gang. They're being split up. We have Velma losing her glasses. Wow, how irresponsible. I do appreciate, though, that the story is focused on following the characters as they lose their glasses and they have to go find their glasses, but they fail and end up in a different area entirely, gets into some sort of garbage can in the trash where she belongs. Oh man, you remember Velma? Oh man, Velma is not fun. If you haven't seen my review on that, why haven't you? It's great. I think you will thoroughly appreciate how in-depth I go because of how much I hate Velma, and I'm glad to be watching these old Scooby-Doos to remind us of a time of when Velma didn't exist. Man, I am so happy, man. Ah, yeah. Shaggy bails Velma out with an extra pair of glasses. Very convenient. Good for Shaggy. What a good friend Shaggy is to Velma. And it's like, ooh, they're very good friends. I like how Shaggy's always there for Velma, it seems. And now it's time to find Fred and Daphne. And there's a mummy on the loose. We have Scooby-Doo doing his usual hijinks. But his usual hijinks help assist everyone in finding who this person is behind this mummy. By the way, the professor has been kidnapped. There was a coin that Shaggy has. And oh boy, that mummy is gold thirsty, baby. I appreciate Shaggy for not giving the money to the mummy, okay? Good on him, what a good person Shaggy is. Of course, his power levels are over 9,000. It's okay. After they discover all of the things surrounding this mummy, and it's weird, this isn't 3,000 years old. What's wrong with all of this stuff? And turns out to be a guy. Oh man, I remember not his name. I don't remember his name, but he's not a mummy. He's a dude, and it's dang it. I'm gonna call this man Mr. No Man. All right, no man. I remember his name starting with an N, but I don't remember what it was. So no man. is uncovered as the dude who's doing all the bad deeds, and that's no good. Doing bad deeds, no bueno. Why would you ever do bad deeds, okay? Come on, bad deeds, not a good. What are bad deeds? Who cares about thinking though? Because Scooby-Doo, this episode after they catch this dude is over. Wow, they did it, and Scooby-Doo ends on a really positive note of Scooby-Doo being a boy dog. A dude, guy. He's cool. What do I mean by that? He's definitely very clumsy. I don't know what that has to do with gender. The last one was a castle. I appreciate this one being a museum, especially about like Egyptian a mummy dude who's like, oh, I'm gonna eat your brains. And it's like, do mummies really do that? Okay. I feel like it's always some dude just trying to scare somebody in order to have some sort of financial gains. So that's what Scooby-Doo's all about. The animation, you know, better than the first 9 episodes. I really appreciate that. I really hope that Scooby-Doo, one day, is Scooby forever. I like Scooby-Doo. I wish Scooby-Doo would be my friend, you know, because dogs are nice. I like dogs. I wish I had a dog. I was petting a dog. You know, remember the time where a dog came on my photo shoot? That was really nice. I remember the Baywatch short, 20 seconds, and then dog. I like dogs. Oh, man, I love dogs. Okay. And I wish Scooby-Doo was my dog friend. But that's enough of that. The animation is pretty better than the first 9 episodes. I like how each, like, it's animated like you just have one picture and it shakes, that cell shakes, and it's nice. It's a nice way to like show somebody moving without actually drawing multiple frames. I like that. And this is much more colorful than the last episode. I gotta give this a solid 6.1 out of 10. I'm in Salad and I saw Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Episode 13, Which is Which? It is produced by Hanna-Barbera, and spoilers. This review is sponsored by the Linktree. You can check that out after the review. This episode starts with a zombie. I didn't know what type of monster it was at first. I was, you know, what is this? This isn't Minecraft zombie. I mean, I know this is so much earlier than Minecraft. I'm talking like 1969 here. Minecraft, at least 2009, probably earlier. Wow, it's like 50 years apart. Wow. We have a zombie. He's lurking on the Scooby Gang who gets lost. Wow, that must be Scooby-Doo hallowing for Shaggy behind me. Wow, so you know you have Scooby-Doo in a van plus the rest of his buddies, the Scooby-Doo gang. Okay, they get lost and a zombie is chasing them. That's not good at all. But what's even weirder is there's a witch. Which is which? Hence the name, there's a witch. I like how this witch is drawn. I took immediate notice to how the silhouette is, because you see her as like a silhouette, and then like all of her features are distinct. Her arms are up, meaning you can make it like an easier silhouette, better for character design. I liked her design a lot. I like how we have Fred and Scooby Gang. They're like, what's up with this witch? Why is she controlling the zombie? What's up with this weird spooky stuff? Of course, I like how all the Scooby Gang's like, mystery. Of course, we have Shaggy and Scooby doing a great old finding food, getting scared trick that they do. They do a lot of that, and I like it. It's more Scooby-Doo trying to find a fish in the back of a car, in the back of the van. Just a bucket with like no bait. I bring this up because food. That's the connection there, food. I just wanted to mention that Scooby-Doo does that. And that by the end, he does indeed catch a fish within this very empty bucket with no bait. Okay, Scooby. Man, Scooby-Doo has powers that no human can comprehend. And even though he has a bunch of like clumsy skills, he clumsies around, especially when we have the like witches like spells. Eventually, they are uncovered. There was a couple of fellows, especially the witch. The witch is involved with, you know, trying to scare people out, scamming people. Classic old Scooby-Doo stuff. This episode didn't really stick out to me, except for the witch's character design, the design of the zombie being a not zombie. I mean, like, he didn't seem undead. He just seemed like he had no brain, and so he's like a puppet. He didn't seem like a Walking Dead zombie or like anything sprouting off the Walking Dead zombies or anything like that. Insert another movie reference, Zombieland. Just, you know, zombies colloquially are, you know, bloodied and stuff, ragged. They look a certain way. But this guy, he has nothing on him. I like how the animation, speaking of the character design having like no scratches on him, I think this is to keep the animation cost low. You gotta pay animators for the amount of lines that they do. So it's by the line, and lines are expensive, man. You have to draw another line? Oh, come on. So I accept the choice to leave this zombie unzombified, but still, I just found it to be weird. I didn't know it was a zombie until it was addressed. Oh, it's a zombie, oh no, look out, and you have the zombie chasing them. Of course. I feel like the animation's like pretty good, it's as good as like the last one. There's a little bit more animated, as I've begun to notice. There's some shot where instead of it's like brown and I have the mystery van and characters, it's a still shot of like a background that was drawn and then the mystery van that. So we're upgrading. I just want to see where the series goes, how much it gets animated by the end of this. So I gotta give this episode a 6 out of 10. I'm inside and I saw Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Episode 14. Go Away Ghost Ship. It is produced by Hanna-Barbera. And if you haven't seen this, I will spoil it for you. And this is sponsored by my Linktree. You can go check that out after the review. This episode starts with a ghost ship, very spooky. And there's this guy who's like, oh, I'm going out of business. And the Scooby Gang wants to go help him. Nice of him, very, very nice of him. However, the ghost ship, when they go, it's very scary. Very suspect too. You got ghost ship that hides in a cove. You got ghost ship with 2 other dudes that don't look like ghosts. And then you have ghost leader boy, what is his name? Captain Redbeard. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's Captain Redbeard. He's cool, he's like, arr. And I like the animation. I noticed a lot of animation, more of it than like the first Scooby-Doo Where Are You episode, and oh my geez, it just got bright. I got light sensitivity issues. So if you see me squint throughout the rest of the review, that's why. This guy going out of business is like, oh my goodness, this pirate is stealing my stuff. Go investigate. And then they get stuck on a ghost ship. I like the little hijinks that they go through. We have Scooby and Shaggy trying to escape this Captain Redbeard ghost pirate boy, and they accidentally walk the plank. I found that to be very funny. And then there's also Velma, she's cool. Velma's so cool in this. But honestly, I'm sad that Shaggy made this huge sandwich, tied it all down with like twine, and then Scooby ate all of it. And I'm just like, Scooby, why you gotta be so rude to Shaggy all the time? Why do you gotta steal his food all the time, man? Come on, just eat your food. Your own food. Ask Shaggy to make you some. I don't know, man. Like, why you guys so hungry all the time? They find a bunch of dry ice on the pirate ship. They find this pirate ship going into a cove-looking area, like behind a bunch of rocks or something like that. But it's a ghost ship. It can just disappear. And I'm just like, man, it's always a human somehow. And Fred at this point is like, you know, this seems very sussy. I think it's a person as well. You know what I think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna further investigate. And further investigation occurs. And I actually remember most of this movie more than other Scooby episodes. I said movie. I remember this Scooby-Doo episode more than the other Scooby-Doo episodes before this, because the twist is, after they catch the pirate dude, and who are these other henchmen? Who are these? Oh, they're just some dudes. Okay, what about this pirate guy? Oh, it's the guy who first said he was bankrupt. Who then Scooby-Doo and the gang are like, hey, we're gonna help you. So I liked that little twist. And honestly, the animation, I like how it just keeps getting better and better and better. It's really nice. Any more character development with everyone else? You know, I kind of just think that Fred is like the leader type. He displays more and more leader qualities as he goes on. Daphne's like a damsel, to be honest, but she has some personality to her. She's not just a damsel in distress. She has some like wits about her. Velma, she's like, I'm gonna solve everything, and I like that. I like that. Scooby and Shaggy are always afraid, always need to be saved, and get saved by fun, hijinky juxtaposition. Is that the word? No. Slapstick humor. Yes, I like that. This is probably a good episode. I gotta give this movie episode 6.9. I like them Scooby-Doo episodes. They just keep getting on better and better. I'm in Salad and I'm not wearing a Velma wig today, and I saw Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Episode 15, Spooky Space Kook. It is directed by Hanna-Barbera. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you, and this is sponsored by my Linktree. You check that out after the review, 18+ only though. The movie starts, we're seeing the mystery gang run out of gas in front of this barnyard, rural barnyard. That's what I thought it was. But there's this spooky space dude. He's like, yo, I'm Spooky Spaceman. I'm a robot. I look like a robot. I look really cool. I laugh like ha 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 ha. You know, like his face is like red whenever he laughs. It's really cool. I like him a lot. But we have the Scooby gang is supposed to figure out this mystery because they needed gas and they happened to stop and they found a mystery to be like, what is this mystery? Oh, there's some green glowing panes or footsteps. Oh, that's scary. That's ultimate spooky. And we have Scooby and Shaggy. They get spooked pretty easily. Making sandwiches is their deal. Man, I wish that I could have some of them sandwiches, okay? They're making a delicious sandwich with meatloaf and chocolate syrup. What do you think of that? Do you think that sounds tasty and delicious and yummy and totally nutritious, and that Shaggy and Scooby should also have this? There's chocolate. Scooby would die. But there's also peanuts that they eat. Scooby eats a bunch of peanuts, and they encounter this weird space guy. He's a space guy. He's in like a space suit. He seems to be a space robot, and there's this cool little UFO thingy that just flies around. It's really weird. It's like, oh boy, how will the Scooby Gang solve this mystery? Okay, this mystery is very mysterious, but we have Fred is like, I'm still not sure about these clues. I haven't hit a lot of clues, but some weird stuff is happening. Like, for example, I found this newspaper that has glowing green thumbs on it. Like somebody's reading the newspaper. Why would an alien want to read a newspaper? You know, stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh boy. I hope they figured out who it is. Who this guy is, okay? Because this is definitely a way to make lots of money. If you scare people away, you can have all the land, you know, that's an idea. So I'm assuming at this point, oh, this is definitely a human. This has to be a person. There's too many human things that exist around them in order for them not to be human. And lo and behold, this person is in fact not human. Okay, he is human. This person is in fact human. 100% human boy. Human dude. A guy from Earth, okay? Not weird space dude. Oh boy, that would be terrifying if it was a real space dude. That's interesting. I hope there are more movies and episodes where cool monsters like this guy shows up, because this guy is cool, okay? Also, Shaggy and Scooby have some pretty cool lines. Like, man, when I was watching this episode, I was taking note, but I didn't take note enough because I don't remember it. But it was Shaggy and Scooby, they're like, oh, all this scaring is making me hungry or something. And then Scooby eats all of Shaggy's peanuts. How could you do that? Why? Why would you just steal his peanuts, Scooby? Why do you always have to steal his food? Come on, you gotta be nicer than that. Man, other than the cool little space dude, that guy's cool, okay? Anything else? Velma solving everything like usual. We have Daphne's like, oh, but there's flat tires on these cars. How is it supposed to run? And Fred's like, well, they want us to think that it's not gonna run, but actually, and then you figure out the entire mystery. That's nice. I like the slapstick is definitely to help make a point of how scared Scooby and Shaggy are, instead of just like random slapstick that happens. Okay, there's purposeful slapstick, and I like it. This was a nice, fine, and fun review. The animation, it just keeps getting better and better. It's very good animation. I like it. It's nice and hand-drawn, and I really like the style. So I gotta give this episode a solid 6.9 out of 10. Scooby-Doo episodes just keep getting better. Woohoo! And better, and better, and better, and better. I'm so excited to see what the rest of the series is like. This is towards the end of the first season. The first episode of season 2 is episode 18. So I'm excited to see what they do for season 2 of Scooby-Doo. Where are you? I'm Inside and I saw Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Episode 16. A Night of Fright is No Delight. It is directed by Hanna-Barbera. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This is sponsored by my Linktree. If you haven't seen that, check it out after the review. So the movie starts with the mystery gang inherits a mansion, which is nice. They help some dudes. Those dudes are like, oh, you're just gonna get a mansion now. And now they're inheriting a mansion. Personally, I'm a little bit suspicious because it's like, why would anyone give the mystery gang a mansion? Like, I feel like they're only responsible enough to solve mysteries and take care of the van that they live in or sleep in. Where do they sleep, by the way? That's just something I've never really thought about in the Scooby-Doo-verse until now. Where do they sleep? Do they sleep in a hotel each night? Do they all snuggle up in a van? Also, in this episode, it is confirmed that they are, in fact, siblings. They're all siblings. Very interesting choice. I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna make romantic relationships later in the Scooby-Doo universe really awkward. Like Scooby doesn't date anyone. Shaggy and Velma, for example. Daphne and Fred? I thought, if they're all siblings, who's dating each other? Is it fake dating? Am I being tricked here? Well, anyway, there's a mystery. It's a haunted, it's really haunted, okay? It's a haunted mansion. They're inheriting it, but apparently the clause of the inheritance is that if they leave because it's too scary, if they leave the first night, then whoever owns the mansion keeps the mansion. It's like, of course, someone is obviously trying to scare away the mystery gang away from their rightful mansion. Also, I should mention that Velma's a little bit smart in this episode. Like, this is towards the end of season 1. We get to see a little bit like personality progression from the start of season 1 to like towards the end of season 1. And you know what I like about it? Velma is getting sassy. Daphne's asking questions that Fred answers and then is able to think about something else based on the question that she proposed earlier, which is nice and neat. I like that. I also really enjoy the little mysteries that they have to go solve. This episode, honestly, a little bit less straightforward than the other ones because you also got like dudes trying to keep the mansion. You also got dudes just like being with the mansion, man. Also, there's a cat underneath my tripod. Come here, cat. Do not knock that camera over. Do not do it. Do not. As we see more and more clues of why this mansion is so haunted, having to live within the mansion that is haunted, that is trying to get you out of there. And we have Scooby and Shaggy who are scared all the time. Very fun, very chill. This is definitely a chill episode, I gotta be honest about that. What I really like about this episode, it's pretty well animated, I gotta be honest about that. Come here, cat. Dang. Cats don't come to you like dogs do. Well, anyway, so I really like how it's well animated. The animation just gets better. The backgrounds are clean. I like how clean the coloring is for Scooby and everyone else, because earlier in the season, the coloring was definitely a lot messier and the lines were a lot messier, but this, towards the end of this season, it's pretty nice how the colors are nice and consistent. The animation quality is pretty consistent. Oh yeah, by the way, they figured out who was trying to kick him out of the mansion. Lo and behold, someone was trying to scare him away. And you know what's fun about this end of the episode? Scooby's like, and Shaggy's like, oh no, we're never scared, But then like, immediately sound of monster and they get really scared and it's very funny. I liked that. That was it was very quaint. This episode, very quaint. So honestly, Fred, I feel like is the most consistent person across season 1. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go more into depth about what I think of each character, starting from the beginning of season 1 to the end of season 1, then like fully analyze their character progression. So I'm gonna do that for episode 17 because that's the end of the season. So stay tuned for that. That's not this episode, that's next episode. Heck yeah. All right, I gotta give this episode a solid 6.1 out of 10. I'm in salad and I saw Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Episode 17. That's Snow Ghost. It is produced by Hanna-Barbera. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. Sponsored by my Linktree. You can check it out after the review. I got myself a Fansly, so you can go check that out. All right, the movie starts with the Scooby Gang. I'll tell you a little bit of what's to come in this review. After I review the episode, I'm gonna cover basically from beginning of the season to the end of the season, the main characters. So in their character progression. Okay, so now we're at a snow lodge. We're in the mountains. They having a nice little lodging trip. They're cold, and there's a guy who walks in and is like, "Rrr, rrr," and they're like, "Who is that?" And they're like, "I don't know." What's fun about this episode? They go outside and there's a snow ghost and it looks like a Yeti. And if you get caught, you're gonna become a ghost. And so they're being chased. And hilarious how often they're being chased, get chased into this little cavern area. You meet a guy who thinks that this snow ghost is his fault. Hilarious. I really like the part where we have Velma tied to a log. That was my favorite part. And then we have Scooby-Doo like, "Oh, I'm gonna break you out of the chains with the saw," and then like take the saw and the guy's there. And so he has to bend the saw. I like that part. The guy just goes like, "Oh no, I'm like shaking." You know, slapstick like that. Very fun stuff. There's a lot of fun gags involving snow, involving water freezing because it's so cold outside. And I'm just thinking, how warm does Scooby-Doo and gang have to be right now? Because, I mean, they're running around. It's cold outside. They're sledding away from danger. They sled in front of this guy, and then behind him, and then front of him again. Even do like loop-de-loops in the air. That was fun. And then, wow, we gotta find out more of what's happening. What is this guy? Who is this guy? And with the nice little hijinks shenanigans, there's a fun sequence of all of them crashing into this little snow pile, and the snow ghost is revealed to be like the second guy who's introduced, which is fun. And it's like, oh wow, they solved the mystery. This episode I felt was a little like, it's kind of unlike the other Scooby-Doo episodes, because I think this one has a lot more like moving parts. So, oh, we're going to a place. Oh, there's a ghost there. Oh, we're getting chased by a ghost. Oh, we go to a cavern. Oh, there's a guy in the cavern who thinks it's his fault, which I haven't seen in other Scooby-Doos, but, you know, they're always talking to somebody, but there's always some hijinks involving the monster. And then the guy's like, oh, I don't know. I think it's my fault. And then it's ultimately not his fault, which I'm glad and I'm happy about. I think the snow ghost is kind of stupid. Not gonna lie. I mean, what was your plan, Snow Ghost? Turn other people into a ghost? What was your plan? Trying to like kick people off this resort, not make money? I don't understand what your plan was, dude. Have a better plan, please. Because I feel like if you thought this out, I don't know, maybe did it a different season, not the winter time, it might be a little bit easier to get what you want. But this episode was a very slapsticky one. I feel like this is probably the episode with the least amount of plot. And by that, I mean, there's moving parts. There's a lot of elements to this episode. But like, in between these elements, there's just, oh, we're gonna do some funny stuff with the monster. That was fun. I enjoyed this episode a lot. A lot of fun gags that I enjoyed. And they ultimately solved the mystery. There's a hollow logs of dynamite. That's no good. Also, Scooby-Doo becomes a beaver. That was my favorite part of the episode. He just starts chomping on some wood and then spits out that wood. I'm like, oh boy, that's hilarious. All right, now it's time to rank them. Okay, so we have, start with, let's see, Fred. Fred at the beginning. Very, what is it called? Leadership. Fred at the end, very leadership, but he's kind of like more quippy about the shortcomings of everyone involved. He's just like, haha, Shaggy, oh, you goof. You're just scared, haha, funny stuff like that. Versus I feel like Fred would have not called him out in the first episode. And then we have Daphne. She's definitely a damsel in distress type. In this, like, closer towards the end of the season, though, I feel like she's like less dependent on others. Like, she has like her own ideas and contributes, more and more as the season gets further along. And then I feel like Velma didn't really have much of a personality in the first episode outside of how smart she is. And throughout like the rest of the season, she just gets like, what is it called when somebody's like sarcastic, mean girl, smart, mean girl, stuff like that. That's fun. And then Shaggy and Scooby, both hungry all the time. I feel like their appetite has increased. Shaggy is getting kind of annoyed with Scooby taking his food all the time. And I feel like they have like more of a bickering style when it comes to, you know, when they steal food from each other. But ultimately, I feel like they're the best scaredy pals that exist all around. I gotta give this episode a solid, what's the solid number? Oh yeah, I'll give it a 6.7 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another one. YouTube really likes that. You can also like, comment, subscribe, share this video with everyone you know. The ultimate goal of this channel is for me to become an expert movie reviewer, so if I haven't reviewed it on the channel, there's a chance I haven't even seen it at all. If you'd like to request a movie in the comments below, you can do that, or you can fast track a movie review request at patreon.com/ASEPresents, $20 a month. One movie review per 1 month, $3 a month for how to draw Pokemon tutorials posted there early on patreon.com/ASEPresents. And if you'd like to help support the daily grindiness of all these daily movie reviews, you go to the link tree. Really helps the daily grind. You can help find ways you can help support the daily grind at this link tree. And until next time, I'm Mint Salad Saw. I'll see you later for my salad croutons and bacon bits.